So 10-second announcement, I did a Legend of Korra character ranking vid on my second channel. You can find it in the pinned comment in the description of this vid. For all the star power present in the bubble, no one might have more eyes on him than Eric Bledsoe. Milwaukee's floor general is desperate to prove he can be just as effective in the postseason as he is in the regular season. Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul's a better player than Bledsoe, and if Milwaukee traded for CP, it would certainly be a big deal. And if it was going to happen this offseason, it gets a little interesting on how the Bucks would actually do that. And who knows if OKC would want that. To dive into how the Bucks could do it. Okay, so next year, Chris Paul is going to be making $41 million. So the Bucks would have to put together something at least in the 30s. And you would start with Bledsoe. So, I mean, that's 16 right there. You assume they wouldn't want to give up Brook Lopez. You could probably put George Hill in the move, which gets you into the mid-20s. And I believe this year on George Hill's contract is non-guaranteed. Yeah, if we see here, in 2022, it's partially guaranteed for $1 million. So it's basically an expiring for OKC. So that gets you to the mid-20s. And then between Ilyasova, Robin Lopez, and DJ Wilson, you assume these expirings could make the rest of the money work. OKC might have to move somebody just because you have so many players moving around. In terms of acquisitions, talent, it's not amazing for OKC, but if they just wanted to get off Chris Paul, I don't know. And now in terms of Milwaukee's draft picks, it's a little confusing when you dive into it. So they have the Pacers pick this year, which, depending on the timeline of when a move could happen, maybe that pick could be in there. They will have their 2021 first, because it goes to the Celtics if it's not already settled, but it will be settled this year because it's top 7 protected. So the Bucks are, 30th or whatever, depending on if they win the finals. So they will have their 2021 first, but because their 2022 pick is still caught up in protections, this goes to the Cavs if the Bucks give up their pick to the Celtics this year, which they will. So it's like, well, does that mean they can trade the 2021 pick? I don't really know. And they're just kind of caught up in protections for a little while. This pick is interesting. They get this pick if it finishes 25 to 30, or if it finishes in the bottom 10. If they're able to trade that pick, which I don't totally know, protections are weird and Stepien rule, all that. That could be an interesting pick that could go to OKC. If it's not that, then they're going to be trading into the deep 2020s. We're talking 5 years later to go for Chris Paul. That sounds kind of dicey. The T-Wolves boost the offense with Buddy Hield. We're not going to look at all these because, to be honest, some of them are just not that interesting, but this one's got something to it. With D'Angelo Russell lining up alongside Towns, the Wolves could field a top 5 offense next season. I wouldn't bet on it, but things have happened. So they're saying that you're keeping Malik Beasley as well. And now they're saying if Jarrett Culver and James Johnson are enough for the Kings to bite, this should be a no-brainer for the Wolves. That is a horrible return for Buddy Hield. Jarrett Culver sucks, and James Johnson, at his best, is a 20-minute-a-game role player. If we take a look, Hield, $26 million, so you got to get in that ballpark. I mean, you use Johnson's money to get close, and then, I guess it kind of would be Jarrett Culver. If I was Sacramento, I would want it to be around a Malik Beasley sign and trade. That's what I would want. I would also want a Kogi, but I assume that the Wolves wouldn't want to give him up. The Wolves, they do have this Nets pick, which, could be something. James Johnson, Nets pick. Unless the Nets lose all 8 of their games and the Wizards win a few, and then the Nets could actually fall into the lottery. Is that enough for Buddy Hield? Maybe if the market's really bad, but I have to assume his market will be pretty damn good. And even then, this assumes that the Kings would want to move him, and who knows if they'd want to do that, but they've had a little bit of a rift, so. For the Pelicans, pairing Zion Williamson with John Collins. You know what? If you don't want to play defense, this would be a move to make. Yeah, what makes that even more terrifying is the fact that Favors isn't the ideal frontcourt partner with Williamson. You just kind of made the case that he is. I don't agree. Favors His defense is what you need next to Zion, because Zion doesn't know what he's doing on that side of the floor right now. Let's see, the Magic getting DeMar DeRozan for cheap. Yeah, I get this one. I know he's not a shooter, and I mean, the Magic have just built their whole thing on not having guys who can shoot. But in terms of offense, and they're desperate enough for it, he could do something for them. Would Evan Fournier and salary filler be enough to interest the Spurs? I gotta be honest, if the Magic lost Fournier and gained DeRozan, I don't even know if that's that big of an upgrade. I feel like for them to really take a jump offensively, they would need to hold on to Fournier. And, Aaron Gordon, maybe he'd be the guy moving. Horford for Eric Gordon. It's kind of interesting. Two guys who maybe need a change of scenery. Horford might be able to fit in a little bit more to what the Rockets have going on. But his contract is worse than Gordon's. And I still am not certain that Gordon is done. Which I'm not certain Horford's done either. But if Horford's bad, that's just worse because of the money. Alright, we have another Buddy Hield one. This one is sending Buddy Hield to Brooklyn, and the idea is Jared Allen and a first-round pick and salary filler. It's going to be interesting to see if the Nets are just trading picks away like crazy because of Kyrie and KD. You have to imagine they would, right? I mean, you're all in on those two. You probably should go all out in that direction. Is this a good return for Buddy Hield? I mean, Jared Allen could be the defensive foundation they need. First round pick could be pretty nice. Personally, I'm not sold enough on Jared Allen to give up Buddy Hield's offense. Like, if I was going to trade Buddy Hield, I would want, somebody who can match some of that offense. Especially because with Jared Allen, it's like, well, I like him, but I could probably just find a center for, cheap in free agency or something who can be all right for me defensively and not have to give up Buddy Hield for that type of guy. Toronto Raptors aggressively pursuing Giannis. I mean, if Giannis becomes available, it's like DEFCON 15 or something, in the NBA. I mean, if he's available, then every trade offer you want to make, it's all a wash. Like, the NBA completely changes, and who knows if we get there. Let's see, the Jazz finding a stretch big, Bielitsa. It's not a bad move. For the Wizards, finding win now trade values. Yeah, they kind of need to start going for it, because Wall's coming back, and he's 30-something, or at 30, whatever. And you're locked into him, so you might as well try to be good, So you bring back Bertans, you see if you can get somebody like Julius Randle on the cheap, which I think is possible. Kevin Love, yeah, that could be certainly another one. Here's one that is certainly a thinker. The Celtics upgrading at center with Myles Turner. I believe the move is Gordon Hayward. That's who they suggest. I feel like I've seen this. Maybe somebody tweeted about this or something. Yeah, Gordon Hayward returns to his hometown of Indianapolis. Myles Turner to Boston, yeah, it makes me feel great. Losing Gordon Hayward for that, like, the Celtics are already one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand the value of a defensive big, but losing Gordon Hayward for it? I don't know, man. So, using Kyle Kuzma to get Spencer Dinwiddie, why would the Nets do that? Oh, it's a 3-teamer. Okay, let's see. Kuzma heads to the Wiz. Bradley Beal to Brooklyn, and LA native Dinwiddie. If I was the Wiz and I was giving up Beal, why would I want Kuzma? Like, I'd want Dinwiddie and other things that come from Brooklyn. I mean, I know they said along with more to the Wiz, but like, if my prime return is Kuzma and I'm trading Bradley, we're gonna move on. Miami Heat betting big on Drew Holiday. This would be interesting. I don't think the Pelicans should trade Drew, but this would certainly be fun. Although it would terrify me as a Celtics fan, because, I've been saying for a minute that I think Miami's like a little, I don't want to say overrated, but I'm just not terrified of them in the postseason. I think Jimmy and Bam are great. Dragic is good. The rest of the team, I just don't trust them like that, Drew would certainly elevate them in my mind. Pels could probably walk away with Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, and Kelly Olynyk. I mean, Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson would be interesting. It'd be a massive drop-off defensively, but You know, I've heard enough Drew Holiday trade suggestions to where I'm willing to at least entertain that there's got to be some sort of source of all this. I mean, I don't know why the Pelicans would give up Holiday. It's not like he's fallen off or anything, but if you really wanted to move, then in Miami it would be cool. And then one more time, Legend of Korra, second channel, pinned comment, description.